Greetings, damas y caballeros. It is so great for you to join us today. My name is Stephanie Peña, and I want to welcome you to Feliz Latinidad. Feliz Latinidad is a curated online Latin-themed holiday mixed media content celebration of our cultura, showcasing mostly Latinx, but definitely also our Asian, Native, Black performers, fellow community members. And we're going to be promoting some really fun projects and just having some really great conversations. We're looking forward to introducing you to the film Finding Carlos, which is an adaptation of the hip hop, but I'm kind of calling it hip hope, and you'll find out why, Nutcracker, releasing December 4th, as well as, again, interviews and conversations like this one, similarly formatted like a Red Table Talk, but where we're basically just getting together and talking about this holiday season and what it entails for all of us. The goal of this project is to spread cheer, simply spread cheer, as well as engage in meaningful, productive conversations surrounding how to cope and care amidst this COVID Christmas. The first item up is we're going to engage with these beautiful faces that you see. We're going to engage in Asioentos Calientes. And to kick us off, I would like to introduce our amazing producer, Albert. Albert Rios, he, him, his, is the co-founder and executive director of Yes Love OKC and co-host of the Coffee and Chisme podcast. He was born and raised in Northern California, the town of San Mateo. He currently resides in Oklahoma City and is enjoying the connections with the beautiful people who want to change the world for the better. At a very young age, Albert knew he was meant to make a change in the world, whether it was saving the rainforest, helping animals, or helping people. Today, you can find Albert working in the substance abuse field. He has a master's in substance abuse studies from the University of Central Oklahoma, and he works in providing substance abuse and mental health services to those struggling with addiction. You can also find him getting candid on his podcast that he co-hosts with the amazing Jaely, who we're going to meet in just a moment, entitled Coffee and Chisme, in which he explores the world through the eyes of a queer Latinx person. Albert hopes to continue to fight the good fight, spread love, education, and community, especially this holiday season. Bienvenidos, Albert.
Hola, gracias. I am so excited, and thank you for that. I'm so excited for the holidays, and I have the pleasure to introduce these beautiful ladies, and let's jump into it. So starting off, let's go ahead and start with Stephanie. Former vocalist at B.B. King's Jazz and Blues Club, Stephanie Peña has served as voice announcer and featured national anthem vocalist for Unidos US, formerly the National Council of La Raza, the largest constituency-based civil rights and advocacy organization in the nation for 20 years. Like, pause, 20 years.
So I started when I was 5.
Yeah, so that's amazing. Ms. Peña has performed at the Kennedy Center and for past U.S. presidents. A member of the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists and the Screen Actors Guild, Ms. Peña can be heard on television, radio, and other mediums, playing a key role in advertising and marketing campaigns for organizations such as the United Nations. Stephanie can be found on Netflix, Vimeo, Imas, and her audiobook, Said the Fly, is currently featured on iTunes and Amazon, and I hope you guys all go check it out. Ms. Peña made her comedic film debut in the award-winning film Crazy Enough, opposite Saturday Night Live's Chris Kattan. Let's give some snaps. Since then, she hasn't looked back. Stephanie is thrilled to soon begin shooting her 10th SAG-AFTRA feature film as soon as conditions allow. Passionate about, excuse me, I had to take a pause. That's a lot of amazingness. Let's acknowledge that. Passionate about cultivating the Oklahoma arts community, Stephanie has served as faculty in Edmond Fine Arts Institute. Ms. Peña previously served on Oklahoma's Dead Center Film Festival board as Dean of Dead Center University, Oklahoma's leading film education program. Ms. Peña serves as adjudicator, educator, clinician, and coach In fact, her influence has been recognized by the Miss America organization. Miss Peña loves nothing more than storytelling. Stephanie's mission is to showcase the accurate, relevant, and inclusive portrayal of Latinos in the media, and is committed to empowering and elevating our voices as well as ensuring our message resonates. Damas y caballeros, señorita Stephanie Peña.
Hola.
That is amazing. We are
Gracias,
so
Amber.
honored to have you. I didn't even know all these amazing accomplishments you've done, and I'm just like in awe. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Next up, you guys have the pleasure to meet one of my favorite people too, Jaely Deleon-Wright. Jaely is a New Yorker currently residing in Oklahoma. She is the co-host of the Coffee and Cheesemate podcast, shout out, secretary and board member of Yes Love OKC. She's a case manager at an opioid treatment program, mama to 3 incredible and beautiful boys, and a beautiful wife. Jaely earned her master's degree in psychology at the University of Central Oklahoma. She has been a psychological researcher for 3 years and is currently working towards a master's in public administration. Jaely is passionate in helping minority communities grow and bring awareness to social justice. She believes that everyone was born to stand out, snaps, to be different, and embracing the differences between one another. If she isn't working on homework, on her work, or with her kids, you can find Jaely listening to audiobooks, self-help podcasts, traveling, or cooking while watching Sex and the City. So please put your hands together for the beautiful and amazing, my BFF, Jaely Deleon-Wright.
Thank you, Albert.
Welcome.
You're so sweet. I see you add all the beautifuls.
And last but definitely not least, I am beyond honored to introduce you to Reyna. Reyna is a proud sun baby born and raised on the outskirts of the Valley of the Sun, aka Phoenix, Arizona. She's a mom to a teenage boy and a special education teacher in Oakland, California, where she teaches high school biology, chemistry, and physics. She's an outgoing person who is passionate about social justice issues, public education, and initiatives that support protecting the environment. Hey, connection there, right? Reyna identifies as a queer Latinx person and hopes that by presenting herself as authentically as possible, she can encourage younger generations and others to do the same. With great pleasure, I would like to present to you the amazing Reyna. Welcome.
Hi guys, thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
All right, now that you know all these beautiful faces, let's get to Asioentos Calientes. So, first of all, ladies, I would like to put out there, with 2020 and the pandemic and everything that's been going on, how has this pandemic affected your holiday plans?
It's been a lot. I mean, I know we're all in the Latinx community. So I know, we're so family oriented, and that's so difficult because we don't want to get anybody sick. So a lot of those plans just have to be canceled. I don't know about y'all, but I'm struggling to have my family to do Zoom stuff because they don't know what Zoom is. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, same. Normally we would do, Christmas Eve here. I think every Latinx family does that. Christmas Eve is our night of celebration, and yeah, we're struggling with how are we going to do all this because we have family from all over. My uncle's in Hawaii, my tia's in Germany. How are we going to, have everyone here safely? And if not, how can we do it? How can we do this in a way that accommodates us and still makes us feel like we're close?
Absolutely. Keeping it small as well. Just like all of you, I think we really don't have a choice because we love, we want to protect, and we just got to keep it small, which means for us, no extended family. I'm really lucky to have my immediate family around me, but absolutely, we got to protect our loved ones. So what can we do to be as innovative and creative as possible to make that experience meaningful, but definitely small?
And I love what you said, Jake. Like for me, the definition of Latinx is family. Like at the root of everything we are about familia and being together. Y las celebraciones y las fiestas that we do, we look forward to celebrating, like in our culture, like Reyna said, el 24, that's our time to celebrate. We don't do the 25th, we party all day the 24th, and then midnight, open presents. And like this year is going to be so much more challenging when it comes to that, because a lot of people have extended families and they want to be together, and that's just natural for us. So kind of finding that balance of understanding what are we risking when we do gather in these spaces and try to celebrate something that is very important to us. And kind of like you were saying, Stephanie, finding an innovative way that will be able to carry that same message and that same warmth, because I think we can all agree that in 2020, we still need that same love and feeling even more, because we're so drained and exhausted by everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's so hard to even do things virtually. Like we just had a Friendsgiving and it was really cool and all. But I mean, at the same time, I don't know about everyone else, but it was so weird for me to be eating in front of my computer. And like, like at least like for our holidays, we always wait for everyone to eat. And so here we are in front of our computers trying to eat and talk to people at the same time. And it's so hard. Like we decided to cancel Thanksgiving with my mom. And I mean, she's like, well, what's the point of doing Zoom? Like, you're just going to watch me eat. And I'm like, well, in a way, like, that's kind of true, because that's all we do for Thanksgiving is eat. And she's mad. And it's hard you can't pass a camera around and eat at the same time.
I think it's also a really cool opportunity, though, for us to be a little more creative. I've seen us do this with work as well. Like at my job, I'm in my garage. There's flies running around here. Sorry, we're country kids, there's flies everywhere. So excuse our visitors. But we're coming to a place where we're starting to be a little more creative, right? At my job, we had been previously told we don't have online school for students, right? That doesn't exist. Now we're seeing that's possible. Now we're seeing it's possible for kids to engage like that. For kids with extreme like social anxiety, things like that. So we got to be able to transfer that to our social lives too. How can we like support family getting on Zoom, family getting on, do we use Skype anymore? Do people use Skype? Skype, things like that to
I don't know.
Do they? Like to really drive home that idea of like, this is the safest thing possible. We told my mom currently has COVID right now, and she's like trying to like minimize that shit. And I'm like, no. I'm like, how do you really feel? Like, you need to tell us, because we got elderly people here. My grandma's here. There's babies here. Like, don't bring that over here. So I think we have to like really work with family and be like, hey, just because we're not like physically together doesn't mean we're not together. And I think that's hard for a lot of Latin families to really, really, really absorb, because for us, it's like that physical closeness. I gotta be with you.
Absolutely. If you don't mind me interjecting just a second, Reyna, I think it's so poignant that you went ahead and mentioned that your mom currently is COVID positive.
Yeah.
I don't mean to hijack the question, but what is that like for, if you don't mind speaking to someone whose mother and inevitably you are directly affected by COVID this particular Christmas? How does that feel? And what message would you give to somebody who doesn't feel like that's really relevant and like, for people who are considering the risk? Because guys, we know people are considering the risk.
Oh, totally. And I see it. In Phoenix, bars are still open, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why? Right. Well, I'll be completely candid as well. I had my grandma, my grandfather, and I all had COVID in July. My grandfather unfortunately did not make it.
So sorry.
Thank you. So when people are like, there's a 99% or 90% recovery rate, I'm like, yo, you're gambling on 10%, bro. Yeah. And maybe that's just me, but like, yo, if you got 10 M&Ms in a jar, right? One of them might kill you. Are you really gonna eat all those M&Ms? Right. Like, you're gambling. So my message to everyone is like, it's not even just you, because I was able to My grandmother and I were both able to like get strong, get healthy, but it took me 6 weeks to be able to just water the plants without going like, and I'm young. I'm 30, I'm gonna be 32. I'm 31 now. And I'm relatively strong, I'm pretty healthy, right? And it took me a long time to heal. So for anyone who's like, oh, not that big of a deal, I'm like, nah, bro, like when you feel it, it's a different thing. Like it's here, it's in your head. There were days I felt so confused. I couldn't get up off the couch. That's not even counting the way it affected my eating. So I just don't think it's a great gamble. So while I understand family is everything, staying home is what's going to protect family, and our elders and the babies. My dad has a saying where he says, you take care of the elders and the kids first. Everyone else, we're all fucked. But he goes, the elders and the babies are first.
Yep.
So yeah, so my message to everyone is, you know, it's just not, for me, it's not worth the gamble after experiencing it. After seeing my grandfather pass, my grandma have to deal with that loss. And nothing I can say to my grandma is gonna make her feel better because she lost the person she's been with since she was 14. So it's like we're, you know, looking at it from a scope of like, yes, I want to do this, but it's a risk versus reward type thing that I'm really trying to emphasize with people, is what is your reward that you will get from the risk of possibly spreading infection.
Thank you for sharing that. That is so.
Yeah, sorry, that was a lot. My bad, y'all.
No,
like,
I mean, that's the reality of like what we are facing, you know. And I shared this meme the other day, and it was like, I would rather a Zoom holiday than a holiday from the hospital bed, you know, or from the grave, you know. Like people are dying, and I think people, like you said, minimize that this is killing people left and right. And like as much as we want to have holiday cheer and joy and familia, I don't want to see people in my family die.
No.
What am I going to risk?
And the reality is it's going to affect Latin and Black communities more than it is going to affect white communities.
Yes.
So it's a health issue.
Right.
And I include Latin and Black because there are Black Latinos. Let's include that.
Absolutely.
Let's not we have to include that. That's it drives me mad when I don't see that inclusion.
Yeah.
And also for our Black brothers and sisters, we cannot ignore what's going on with their communities as well.
Right.
It is going to affect us in a way that is much more amplified than other communities. And I think we have to look at it from that standpoint too. Statistically, it's going to be Latin and Black folks who will perish from this disease.
Yeah.
How do I say disease? Virus.
Virus. I mean, the numbers are already showing that those are the communities it's impacting. And I think to think of it like in a few years to see how those numbers will be is kind of scary because it's the people around us. Like these are our family members. I'm so sorry, Reyna, for your loss. I was just like Albert said, thank you so much for sharing that, because I mean, I think that is the reality. It's really like, I remember when the virus first started, I used to be like, oh, it's not going to be that big of a deal. And then it just spiraled. And now it's like, it's people we know who had it. I mean, my family had the virus when I gave birth to James. So that was hard for them. And it was hard for me because it was like, I just didn't have anyone. And it's like, people don't think of that. Like I would much rather stay home, people get mad at me, than to have other people go through that. It's crazy.
Well, and you know, one thing too, like to think about, just kind of like on the flip side, is like I'm all for like the Zoom and all that, but we also got to remember that it is extra challenging because that is a resource and that is a privilege for people to have a computer, to know how to do that, to have internet, you know. And so like I get it, it's hard, you know. I mean, that is obviously a really good solution and I promote that, but also thinking about it from like a privilege point of view, not everybody has that. So it really does break my heart to know that there are people out there that have nobody, don't have connection. And that's how their holidays are going to end with the year we've lived, you know? So it's always good to just kind of acknowledge those people too, because, you know, I think sometimes I'm very easy to be like, oh, it's easy, just get on Zoom. And well, for me it is, you know? And I mean, even like Jay had to struggle with not having internet, for what, a month, Jay? You know, and you have the privilege of other things, but like, you got no internet for a month, and how much did that affect you work-wise and like other things in your life?
Schooling was like literally impossible because everything is on an iPad and it's on a specific server, and I didn't have internet, and it was crazy. Like, I think that was such an eye-opening experience for me, where it's just like, we live in a world where these things are like necessities, and a lot of people don't have access to that. I was reading today something that a teacher posted, and I personally, I'm totally okay with schools closing, because I think that schools are not a daycare. And I know that comes from a place of privilege in a way, you know, because thankfully I'm able to stay home. And even if I didn't have a job, like, and my husband was, you know, the one making the money, like, we would be okay. So that's where I'm like, okay, no, it comes from a place from privilege. But at the same time, like, I also feel like all of that just shows this bigger issue with like the way our country is set up. Like, it's kind of like, oh, well, we're going to hate the teachers if they don't want to do virtual schooling. And it's like, it's not the teacher's fault that but the government isn't doing anything for parents or to make these resources available. And sorry, I don't know where that came from. I just want to share that because I read that this morning, and
I love it. Yeah.
But that's relevant that COVID is affecting every system. And as we know, we have so many broken systems, educational systems, immigration systems, all these, and, you know, and Albert mentioned, you know, different resources and that sort of thing. COVID obviously amplifies all of our broken systems. And so just everything is harder, right? Everything.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome that, one, thank you for your support in that. I've been told many a time that, especially in regards to like, I'm like, yo, I'm a professional. So when people are like, they're like, oh, well, school should open back up. And I'm like, here's the deal. I can assess your student, what gaps are in their education system. I can also talk to the school psychologist about what is going on with them psychologically. And then we can write an evaluation based upon that and a plan to respond to those things. If you can't do that, shut the fuck up about schools opening. You do not have the basis to be like, oh, school should open. I'm like, no, friend, I'm not your babysitter. I didn't go to school to become your babysitter. I came to school to work with students because I'm passionate about supporting youth. I'm not even passionate about science. I'm passionate about youth. And I'm passionate about working with kids to achieve their full potential because I love you in a way that maybe you don't love yourself. So that's why I'm a teacher. And I so appreciate you bringing that up, Jay. Like, and I appreciate you seeing your privilege, like recognizing your privilege. I think that's amazing that you can be reflective and objective of what you have and don't have. That's brilliant. Yeah. That's something that a lot of people can do.
Right. I just think I love the way that Stephanie said it. Like, COVID really just shows how broken everything is. I mean, I think that we are in this situation not being able to spend time with loved ones and people close to us dying or having the virus because of how broken the system is. I mean, I firmly believe we could have stopped the spread months ago had everyone had that support. So
it's coming up on a year. We could have stopped this. So when this stuff happened, we're, like Stephanie said, amplifying broken systems. America has a system of like, I don't want to support XYZ person because they may cheat or they may take something. That's like in every profession. Someone may cheat, someone may take, but that's not on me. That's on them.
Right. Exactly.
You know, would help us like get over pandemic, and people are hating it now. Is I'm like, oh, you worried about paying those bills? You worried about how you're gonna make money? We brought up universal basic income, and you said that was too socialist. And now you are worried about how you are going to pay for these things that are honestly abstract. We could push pause on a computer somewhere and we could pause it. Italy paused their mortgage and rent payments. Canada, for the first 6 months, got $2,000 per citizen throughout the first 6 months of this pandemic. We could have mandated masks, but everyone's like, my freedoms.
Yeah.
What a privilege you must have.
Yeah.
That masks are your only form of oppression.
Thank you. And
Like,
preach it.
Like, no one's ever looked at your name and like not called you back for a job. No one has ever, I remember one guy like made a joke when we were working outside one day. One of our neighbors was like, well, why don't you hire some Mexicans to do it? And we were like, well, we're here, so.
We're here, honey.
These Mexicans are already here. Like, and even if we were gonna hire more Mexicans to work, like none of your business. Like, we may need more help, and we will hire, and we will pay correctly, and we will feed people. Like, we will do these things in a way that is not like cheating or exploitative and things like that. So I'm like, wow, like we really could have had a handle. And that comes from leadership. That comes from people not fearing intimidation from someone who's quite frankly a narcissist.
Right.
And like being like, no, my people first. My people need to be taken care of.
Absolutely. I just want to say one quick thing. You know, I think that a goal is hopefully should be that we can have a more comprehensive understanding of how to fill those gaps in our broken systems and how to try to move forward through this COVID Christmas. But here's the thing, in my opinion, I don't think it's possible to build a comprehensive conversation without compassion. So if we lack compassion, then we lack the basic thing that we need to kind of, you know, move forward. I read something that basically talked about empathy and what is the definition of empathy. And this kind of goes back to the conversation of like, what is socialism and what do we consider and recognize as socialist, you know, behavior or practices or this and that, whatever. The point being, it shouldn't have to only happen to you for you to care about it.
Exactly.
So like Jaely so poignantly brought up, and we've all discussed about recognizing our own privilege, recognizing, you know, our access to the internet and our resources and all of the different things that we have, right? So, you know, while we are able to recognize those things, even though I may still have internet, I may still have food on my table, whatever it is, I care about those who don't. And I shouldn't have to be apologetic about the fact that I care. I wish there was more I could do. So we recognize our privilege, but we try to move forward with empathy, right? I mean, are those not the basics of just trying to move forward with compassion? Because I think compassion breeds comprehension. There's no way I can understand what it's, for me personally, I'm talking as Stephanie Peña, there's no way that I can personally speak to situations that I haven't been in. I'm not a parent. I'm not a partner, a romantic partner, but I am a human. I'm a child. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. Like, of course, I can stay in my lane and speak from my point of view. It doesn't mean I don't care. There is, I mean, I wake up and go to bed burdened for the world and for those who just have different situations than I do. P.S. Quick shout out to both of you parents. I cannot imagine literally what goes into your daily decision making, because I know what goes through my daily decision making in terms of trying to protect myself and my parents and my sister, that my immediate core who I live with. I cannot imagine being ultimately responsible for other tiny humans. So just please know that I literally can't imagine what you're going through. I pray for you every single day, and God bless you and give you everything that you need. Truly.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it definitely is amazing. I mean, I'm floored, and I just see how much passion and energy you put into your daily like work. And I know both of you as professionals work really hard, and then you do the same with your children, raising children that are woke beyond like belief. Like, it gives me hope for the future, because I think parents like you two are the ones that are going to mold this world, and kind of like Stephanie said, move forward with that empathy and that compassion and understanding, because we do need to have that for our fellow Americans. It doesn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat or, you know, black or brown or rich or poor. Like, that needs to go out the door. Like, we just need to be like, hey, we're in this together. We're all hurting. If we want to have a better 2021, let's work on the here and the now to be able to make it better. And that's kind of like our biggest challenge, is we don't see beyond ourselves. And I think, like Stephanie was saying earlier, there's a saying, and I totally won't even try saying it because I'll butcher it, but it's like, you know, they came for the neighbor down the street, I said nothing. They came for the person next door, I said nothing. And then when they finally came for me, like, nobody was there to like help me. And it's like, that's so true. And I believe that 100%. I am not a Black American, but I care about Black people's rights because they are human and they deserve the same right as myself. And if they don't have rights and they're dying every day, then I am not okay with living this life like this. I'm going to be as vocal as possible. And that's where it starts. We care about each other. And that's how we get through the holidays, is we care about people. Just because we can eat turkey or whatever, or ham for the holidays, there are people out there that can't even have a meal, that are out living on the street. So donate, help where you can, and try to care about each other.
Yeah. I love that you brought up like action steps of like what you can do as a person to like really like put on for communities. I look at my son and I look at Nico, his name's Nico, we call him Neeks or Nico, whatever. He is just like the most, he's this person that I'm just like, wow, you're your own person, you're your own dude, right? You're doing the damn thing. He tells me about his ideas and stuff. I saw him yesterday work with my cousin outside, moving wheelbarrows and shit. And I'm like, it's a man, right? And I can't imagine someone looking at a child and being like, nah, well, fuck them, because their parents probably got into a situation and I don't want to give more of mine, more of what's mine to take care of these kids.
Yep.
I just, that's unfathomable to me. Like, I don't care whose kids they are. We taking care of these kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kids, the elderly. I don't understand I've never understood people's lack of wanting to take care of communities. I've never understood that. That's not been a thing. I'm not religious and I still will help out at a food bank. We have a Catholic church food bank down the street. I'll still do it. I'm down because it's about feeding people. There's an action behind it that I can actually put forward. We got a donation at the school I work at, and we like all nominated kids to get free turkeys for Thanksgiving. Like, what more can we do as communities, especially like for Latin communities? Our community is above us, right? That's first. In my family, that's always been put forward as like, you take care of everyone. We don't care who they are. So I'd like to know, like, if you guys have any like things that you do for the holidays that like put community in the forefront, especially during COVID. Like, what would you guys?
That's a really good question, because I know a lot of families are used to like serving at a homeless shelter, serving food at a homeless shelter or something. And so maybe this year that's not as viable because we need to protect ourselves, or maybe those services have been edited, of course, for safety. So that's a great question that I'm glad you brought up. How are we able to sort of, besides obviously a financial donation to like a food bank or something, which of course is a great idea. But yeah, that's a great question. How are we able to kind of support that a little bit more creatively this year?
I think.
So, go ahead.
Sorry, I'll let you go first.
Well, I was just gonna like put out there. So I'm like a terrible Catholic. I was actually talking to Jay about this the other day, and I was like, I really don't understand las posadas 100%. But from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, you host people at your house like for the holidays, and you feed them a dish. And so for the Latinx community, like comida or food is community. That's what you do. You partake in food with your community, and you share culture, you share like recipes, you share chisme, like that's community building right there. So COVID definitely is not going to allow you to host not strangers or just other people in your house for 12 nights?
Yes.
Okay, 12 nights, and go to different people, because that will be the quickest way to spread COVID right there. So I'm curious because, I don't know what else people would do. We, as growing up, we would volunteer at this place called the Samaritan House in California. And we would stuff like bags of toys for kids and like canned foods. And like right now, just like at work, we selected 5 families we want to donate turkeys, actually a full meal to. And then like we are creating a clothing closet to be able to like let our patients just kind of come in, get clothes and cans and whatever we have for them there. So that's kind of how we're trying to do it.
I love the idea of a clothing closet.
Mm-hmm.
We do it once a year for our students. They do a project called I can't even think of it, but it's this massive, like they have to do kind of like a mini thesis in their senior project to graduate. Capstone.
Yeah.
Woo! I was like, case study? Not a correct word. But they get to get like a suit or like a outfit or a dress or whatever. I think that's a beautiful idea, especially because clothes, like looking at it from a sustainable point of view, clothes is heavy on the environment, and it takes a lot out of this planet to make clothes. So I think that's a brilliant idea. I recently got into apps like ThreadUp and Goodfair and like Poshmark to like buy clothes. I think that's brilliant. But
those are good thoughts.
Oh yes, but I love that you brought up clothes. It makes me so happy. We again, not recognizing my privilege in this sense. I totally like that skipped me in a second. My thought was food. I didn't even think of clothes. But I've been looking into like other ways to support. I started doing a lot more like searching for petitions I could sign. Because cool. I recently saw one that was like, it was on TikTok, and it got me like, I was like thrown off. This dude was like, dude was saying that for Black patients on the community transplant or the kidney transplant list, it is always assumed that their levels are wrong. So they spend longer on the list, and they are more at risk of dying of kidney failure.
Oh no.
And it's just because there's this assumption that Black folks' levels are wrong. I was like, what? So that was a petition I was looking for to sign. So I've been looking for different like things I can do, like just with my signature. I can help with the initiative. I know for sure CSU East Bay is going through some things because one of the professors supported some research in eugenics, which is the basis of what Hitler used to exterminate Jewish folks. So you could sign that one if you're in Northern California. I've been doing things like that. And
Jaely, what were you gonna say?
Sorry, my bad.
No, just, I don't want to miss it too.
I have seen throughout the past few years in like mom groups that you can like adopt a family, and so you like pick their need, you know, you're assigned a family, and then like they tell you their specific needs, so whether that's food or clothes or toys, and especially for kids so that they can have some type of Christmas. And so I think that's really, really awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's another way that maybe like in these times, like, you know, assigning people virtually, and then people being able to do pick up and drop off, obviously no contact. So I think that's an awesome way to do things.
And I think that also generally is kind of, I think, guiding our purchasing this year. I don't know about you guys, but as I'm looking at my loved ones who I want to gift, you know, something for Christmas, and my community members who I would like to affect in some way, it's basic needs, right? It's we're not doing frivolous things, and also, quite frankly, I mean, we're not gifting experiences the way that we maybe have in the past. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I'm used to trying to gift an experience, like, you know, buy a weekend getaway for my parents and that sort of thing. And I certainly hope that we'll be able to resume that. And I'm not saying to not support the hospitality industry. Please, if you can. I know everyone is suffering, but clearly we don't have any like immediate travel plans and that sort of thing. So instead of gifting an experience or a physical, tangible gift that maybe is a little bit more luxury, then absolutely basic needs. And so again, going back to Jaely's mention of finding out what those specific needs are within that family, like, hey, the 10-year-old is this size and needs tennis shoes, and the 12-year-old is this size and needs a coat. You know, that is really, I think, can make a real impact if we're able to know some of those details and try to give in those kinds of ways. So yeah. And so that also kind of poses the question, I would love to know your feedback on that, everybody. And then also, how are we purchasing this COVID Christmas? Are we doing just gift cards? Because sister, I'm not going to the store and I'm not waiting in that line, and I'm not, obviously you know, my contact and my interaction with others, I'm trying to limit. And so are we just doing gift cards? Are we purchasing something and then having it shipped to your home? Like, I want to know, how are we gifting this Christmas?
Definitely. So I like totally nothing against gift cards. Like if you're a gift card giver, cool, but I do not like gift cards. I feel like they're impersonal for myself. Like you kind of like, I want to give something that I'm like, I want the person to open and be like, oh, you thought about me. Like, this is what I needed. You put some love and effort, especially, like, again, I hate going back to it, but like in 2020, we need that love. We need that like warmth, that little hug. Just a quick example, like one of our friends sent me like a random little care package, and it really lit up my day. Like it was some pumpkin spice candies and pretzels and a little like mouse pad. And literally the fact that she went out of her way to do this for me for no reason, not my birthday, no holiday, really sat well in my heart. And so that's what I want to give people this year, is that love and that extra little hug that they're not getting during the holidays. So
Yes.
online.
Yeah, I love that. So that same friend, I think, and I don't know if it was COVID or anything, but she started doing this, and it really made me think of how like random little gifts, and like I'm very like, it doesn't even need to be like expensive, but it's just like with like she's just like far, she lives up like an hour and a half away, so it's like we have distance, we can't be like together like physically, so I'm like totally here for shipping stuff. I think that I love to online shop, always been a problem. I probably need to have help about it because it's bad. But yeah, I mean, online sales is kind of how we're doing it. My Christmas shopping was mostly online, and the people I know locally will just like deliver it like around Christmas. And then for people that aren't like with us here, probably just use like Amazon or Target, because that's my favorite place ever. But yeah, but I love how like a lot of places now, like their sales are great online, and then there's a lot of free shipping and stuff, because that can add up when you're sending it to like a lot of people. So yeah, definitely not with the whole like going to the stores like you said, Stephanie.
Yeah, out on that. I agree 1,000%. I really love Target and their morals and their principles and their ethics and what they stand for, and how inclusive they are to the LGBTQ plus community, to the brown community. I don't know about you guys, but I'm always looking for things like wrapping paper and just different things that represent myself, my skin tone, the skin tone of the people that I love around me. And Target, I think, does that very well. I also love the idea and opportunity to, of course, shop local. If you can, please shop local. Our communities need it. I know the Black Scintilla in Oklahoma City does a great job of really, really taking care of their guests. You can log on and talk to my good friend Rachel. She'll tell you about how you can either have a private shopping experience, which I think is an incredible opportunity that a small boutique retailer can offer, as well as, of course, engage online or whatever. There's free gift wrapping. There's a lot of free shipping. I know, like Jaely was saying, that a lot of people are offering. So a lot of great ideas there. And then one other really quick that Jay reminded me is, going back to budgets too, because obviously we're all really struggling financially right now. There's retailers or companies like, I believe one is called Greetable, where you can literally make for a very small amount of money, we're talking less than $20, like a little box. And the paper itself is made of basically like an image, like let's say Jay and I have a memory from a year ago where she and I went to dinner. So there's a picture of the two of us from a year ago as like part of the like wrapping paper part. And then there's like a little part where you can like color. It's like a little coloring book. And then inside is literally like one tea bag, because I know that Jay loves hot tea. I'm making this up. I don't know if you like tea, girl, but here's the tea. Anyway, there's like one little tea bag or one little, just tiny trinket. And it's literally so small, but it's so personal. It's remembering a specific memory. It's giving you one tiny thing that I know you love. So things like that. I just think, there's a lot of great ideas that I think we are gonna just need to engage. Again, try to shop locally, try to support. And in general though, even when we can't shop locally, I think it really does matter where we put our money, because we wanna support organizations who support us. And if I could just speak really quickly on that, with the Black Lives Matters and everything movement and everything that has happened as of recent, there's been response, a lot of positive response, of course, that has come out of all the things that have been going on. But as always, we have to ask the question, okay, beyond you wanting my money, because I know you want my money, beyond you putting a person of color and a person of power Thank you for that, so that we have a seat at the table. But even more importantly, where is the responsibility? Where's the accountability? Who's on your board? Who are you serving? How do you really, you act like you know us, and you act like you want to provide products and services that people of color want to engage, but we're gonna need continued comprehensive accountability and that sort of thing. So just super quickly, as we go into 2021, I think that's something that we as people of color, or just people who care about and or are a part of the marginalized communities, we need to continue to hold these organizations and certainly corporations accountable. So you want to see my money for my holiday? Show me your board of directors, show me the communities that you serve, beyond just your immediate response in early fall, summer. Let's continue the conversation. Let's continue to see what you're doing as we move into 2021. So sorry to get off track for just 2 seconds. As we're talking about retail and purchasing, I think it's important.
I wanted to actually kind of touch base on that. So like,
Please.
I want to get my mom a molcajete for Christmas, but like Amazon has them, you know, and like I'm like, why would I support Amazon's molcajete when I can go to like the, you know, a store on the south side that has them, which has been a challenge, but I'm still trying to find a really good molcajete. So if anyone knows, like, let me know, because I really need a good one, and I don't want Amazon. So
try Etsy, because they have like, try an Etsy like a Hispanic shop, because those are like just people who like maybe don't have a website, but they use Etsy, so they could still benefit from there. But make sure it's like a Hispanic place, because I'm sure that there would be people who like, you know, are
you
like,
want a molcajete?
yeah,
Good idea. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yes.
I didn't know that was like an English word for that for the longest time. My bad. I didn't know that that was a. I was like, what do you call that thing? I used to work at a Cambodian restaurant. I was like, oh, it's a dope ass molcajete that you got, because it was like this big, right? I was like, that's dope. And she was like, a what? And I was like, it's called a molcajete. You know, and she was like, I think it's called a mortar. Something like that. It starts with an M. I don't remember. But I was like, there's something in English for that. I didn't know there was an English. That's one of those words I didn't know there was an English word for.
Me neither.
I didn't even know it was molcajete till Albert posted it on Facebook. We always just said to like smash our stuff, like, you know.
We have one for corn, that it's flat and you do the corn with it too. It's pretty good.
Maybe so. So just real quick, I just wanted to check with you guys. This holiday season, how would you all rate your stress level? Who wants to start?
I'm hella stressed, bro. I think, okay, one when you're living in a big house, right? When you have a lot of people you're living with, that's stressful enough. I'm used to having my own space. I had my own spot when I was in Oakland, and I really liked my space. I could get up at 1 a.m. if I was having like an anxiety thing. Like last night, I had a total anxiety attack, and I couldn't like stop it. None of my strategies were using the 5 things around me, water in my face. Nothing was working. And I was like, I can cook, but it is 1 a.m. in my grandmother's house. I can't cook. So, I mean, you know, your coping mechanisms have to change. Finding space for yourself, time for yourself. I know my stress level is going to be elevated. I'm like, okay, what more can I do besides drinking 3 or 4 micheladas before I go to bed?
Right.
You know, how am I going to organize my space, my time, my boundaries? Like, no, we're not going to talk about that, and we're not going to make those jokes. It's not going to be tolerated. How do I organize that in terms of working with family and still being able to enjoy our time together? So I think the stress level comes with already thinking of what coping mechanisms can you utilize in order to take care of yourself.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's super important. And I don't want to take from Albert, like move away from Albert's question, but like you mentioned boundaries. And I think like I'm stressed out this holiday season, but at the same time, a part of me is like relieved because there are certain boundaries that I just don't have to hold up because I'm not going to be around people. So it's just like, I love, like we said at the beginning, like being Latinx and growing up in the way that we grew up, everything's very family oriented, but it's kind of nice to maybe just kind of start our own traditions and not have to be stressed out about, oh my gosh, like I can't joke about this with this person, or this person is racist, or this person is this. And I'm just like, that's gonna be nice as hell. I mean, I have to do like actual cooking this year, you guys, so I'm stressing the fuck out. But
You'll be great.
Just order it from Honey Baked Ham. Don't tell anyone, and just like swap it out. Be like, I cooked all this.
We already ordered ours. We were like, oh my God.
Their ham is like $100. I'm like,
don't get the whole thing. Get the quarter.
like,
It was a solid $75, but we were like, no. Yeah, I'm not cooking no ham by myself. I'm good.
yeah, I mean, so I'm like, it'll be nice. Like, I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like you guys mentioned earlier, financially, it's just been hard with COVID. Even if, you know, like our jobs haven't changed, but a lot of stuff went up in price this year. So
Yes.
That's been difficult, but I'm still excited. I'm trying to like find coping skills too, and just different ways to maintain those stress levels.
Stephanie, your stress level?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's high like everybody else's, you know, but I think, you know, piggybacking on what Reyna said a moment ago, you know, we just have to ask ourselves, what are our controllables? What do I have control over every day? And one thing that gets me through is, in addition to making a to-do list, because I know that we all have our to-do list, I make a to-don't list, and that's way harder for me than my to-do list. Because I cheat on my to-do list. I'm like, I already did that, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw that on there so it makes me feel like I'm ahead. But no, you know, it's easy. We're all very driven people, right? We're all very driven people, or else we would not be doing what we're doing. So the to-do list, while challenging sometimes, is sometimes not as challenging as the to-don't list. And that to-don't list is, I'm not gonna stress out about the things that I don't have control over. And of course, we can be even more detailed with that. So, you know, I think it's looking at those controllables. What do I have, you know, what can I plan, you know, how can I plan my responses to things and those sorts of things. And I think overall, though, piggybacking on what Jay said, is where can I find the silver lining? And I'm actually so glad that you said what you said, Jaely, because each of us have, of course, different situations and that sort of thing. So for me personally, I'm not in the same boat, but I celebrate that we can find a silver lining in maybe having a few less stressors, strangely, amidst this particular COVID season that maybe we wouldn't have had before. Even stressors like, not even necessarily like family dynamics or anything, but even just the stress of traveling or the stress of cooking for a huge amount of people or whatever that might look like. You know, I think it's just really about overall, I feel like, and I hope that this entire conversation can be about finding the silver lining this COVID Christmas. What can we do to enhance our experiences, celebrate one another, celebrate the different things that make the holiday season Christmas for us, or, you know, whatever that looks like. And yeah, just looking for those things. You know, it's kind of like a phrase that I know we've all kind of been clinging to is, you know, look for the helpers, find the helpers throughout everything we've been going through as a world for the past several months. And I think that, you know, just kind of continuing to do that, finding those helpers, digging deep to find the best parts of ourselves, to hopefully, you know, project forward. And yeah, just looking at those controllables, finding those silver linings, and having conversations like these, to be honest, I think is a good one, is a good way to kick off the holiday season.
Yeah, and I think, you know, if I'm gonna like realistically look at my stress level, I'm gonna be honest and just say, like, I don't think for me I'm experiencing stress. I think for me it's exhaustion, and with like everything that's been going on. But I think that it can only tackle one thing at a time. In a very stressful situation. So by prioritizing what it is that I want to do, I feel like my stress level actually resides in there. Yeah, like kind of like you said, Stephanie, what can I control? What can I do? I'm going to do that. And so really, my family's small, so I don't have a huge family. Unfortunately, my brother won't be joining us this holiday anymore. We just found out, so that's kind of sad. But I just try to take it one day at a time. That's all we can do. I try to work on things that bring passion, and that kind of gets me through it. You know, doing things like this and connecting with people, doing our podcast with Jay, meeting beautiful people like Reyna, who like has just become like one of my really good friends. I just like love you, you know, and those are the things that keep me like happy and stress free. So, you know, obviously there's times where things get overwhelming, but like prioritize, set your boundaries, say no when you don't want to do something, say no. That is, it sounds so simple, but it is hard. And I want to give everyone the authority to tell themselves, you know what, I'm going to say no, because if you don't learn how to say no, you are going to be stressed and you're going to regret it. You know, so yeah, I guess that's mine.
I want to say one quick thing before we wrap up. And, you know, I think we're all trying so hard to be positive, right? That's what the whole theme has been over this entire really challenging 2020 is stay positive, this and that, whatever. And that is so valid. Please don't think I'm taking away from that. Trust me, I'm chronically positive. But I think with that, the challenge is I also still want to feel authentic and I still want to be genuine. And I think it's important to recognize and let ourselves off the hook just a little bit to recognize the fact that always acting like we have to be positive or that we're truly positive every single second is not real. It's not feasible. It can be a trauma response because we feel like we have to always be that whatever. And that's hard. That's hard because we are used to, and I think especially in the Latinx community, we are used to being, playing certain roles. And don't get me wrong, I think we should always try to be as positive as we possibly can. I think we should do everything in our power to assume positive intent. We're all going through so much right now. So even when I recognize my own behaviors, when I'm being short with somebody or I'm whatever, you know, I'm not saying that there's not room for all of those things, but kind of like Albert said, we've got to make room for ourselves and we need to let ourselves off the hook. And so while I absolutely hope that everyone will leave this conversation feeling a little bit encouraged, let's also be gentle with ourselves and recognize that it's okay to not always feel positive. And if you need to step away and have a moment, that's okay. So I just kind of want to say that really quickly.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that resonates, that hits in a space because there's that toxic positivity
exactly
that like kind of flows around, and I'm like, that's not real. There's no way that's real. You deserve to feel your feelings, and you have to feel your feelings, or else you're gonna get it stuck somewhere else, and your body takes toll. There's a book called The Body Keeps Score, and it's about like how your body like retains all that shit, and it's gonna lead to things later on in life. And feel your feelings, man. I think Latinx folks, we definitely are taught to don't show fear, don't show hurt, don't show emotion in a space that gives away power. And I think that by feeling feelings, we've been we're taking back that power, and you're able to be like, you know what, I'm recognizing that shit sucks right now. Give me my moment. I always tell my friends, I'm like, let me be dramatic. Let me overreact for like 5 minutes, maybe 15, then I'll be done.
Yeah.
Let me overreact real quick, and then I'll be back to my space. I love that you brought that up. Being in your authentic self, being in your feelings, and going through it. I love that.
Because at the end of the day, that's all we have, right?
Yeah, that's it.
That's all we've got. Well, guys, for time, I want to kind of wrap up some things. Albert, you look like you want to say something else.
Yes,
please.
just one last thing. I do want to end on like a little extra positive note. I know it talks about positivity, but I want to talk about like what's one thing that you are actually very excited about this Navidad.
Okay. I had two nephews and a niece born this year, so 3 babies are in the house, and it is their first Christmas
Aw.
And I am excited. Tia Mode is dope as hell. And I really am excited to celebrate their first Christmas. So Arlo, Kane, and Bella will be celebrating their first Christmas. It makes me
Oh, yay. Feliz Navidad.
Yay!
I guess I'll kind of base mine off of that. I didn't even think about the fact that this is James's first Christmas. Yeah.
Christmas
So yeah, I'm excited.
Aw.
babies.
I love that. Yeah, babies make Christmas, right? So my day job right now is I get to be a private tutor to a trilingual toddler, and she's 2, and so so she's not my baby, but she's my baby, and so I enjoy experiencing things through her. And honestly, I'm excited about conversations like these. I mean, I know that sounds really cheesy, but I am. I mean, I think that conversations like these are the silver lining to, for me, it's a silver lining for kind of what we're going through. And so being able to do projects like this is exciting, finding other people who, we can connect with and just seeking out relationships. Obviously, it's all relationships. Spending time with my family, having game nights, it's the people.
Sure.
Albert, how about you?
Yeah. So last year I was in California during like Christmas and El Año for my brother's wedding. So this year I'm actually really looking forward to just being home, spending it with my boo. Like we get to spend Christmas together. We're on the same we're gonna be on the same work schedule. So like started like decorating, putting Christmas lights, and just kind of getting into that feel and just really having that special someone that I haven't been able to have that in the past. Yeah, we were together last year, but it was like we were in different states. So I'm just really excited for
I
that in
love
family.
that.
Yeah.
That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Well, last but not least, I want each of you to please take a moment to share with our audience how they can continue conversations with us, with the panelists. How can we connect with you on social media or any particular projects that you have coming up? Please go around and share how we can continue the conversation with anybody watching. How can we find you?
Nobody wants to go first.
I was like, everyone's shy now.
Okay, I'll go. So my Instagram is at La Reynita23. It's REYNITA23. I have to write it down because I forget. I'm also working on my master's project is on juvenile justice and supporting students not only at risk, but when they re-enter the school system. So if y'all have any connections throughout that, I would really love to connect and talk about how we can support young folks in reducing the recidivism rate and helping them, not have to participate within the juvenile justice system. So that is my plug. I'm working on a few things in terms of public education and supporting special education initiatives. So connect with me. Also anything to support queer communities and queer youth, I'm down for, especially queer Latinx kids. I feel like a lot of times it's hard to find other queer Latinos. It's really hard. So creating spaces for queer youth and queer adults to find each other, connect and support each other, especially through COVID, is one of the things I want to really, really continue to do. So hit me up, and that's mine.
Yay!
All right, well, I will go next. So you can keep up with me personally on Instagram. It's albz86, ALBZ86. That's just about me and my daily life. So it's a little boring, but kind of exciting. You can keep up with my project. Let's see.
Albert, you froze up a little bit. Can you go back?
Albert!
Oh no. Okay, let me.
All right, so if you want to keep up with me, follow me on Instagram. It's albz86, ALBZ86. That's just my personal life. If you want to keep up with my podcast, mine and Jay's podcast, it is Coffee and Cheesemate Podcast, literally spelled out, on Instagram, Facebook. And if you want to stream the podcast, which you should totally do, it's really fun. It is available on pretty much like all streaming platforms that will stream a podcast. And if you want to keep up with my activist side, you can keep up with me through Yes Love OKC. We are currently not doing really anything given COVID. We've kind of really taken a pause in a mental health self-break. You can also follow me on Latinx Landia. It's another group that I'm a part of, which we're doing amazing things for the Latinx community. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Jaewright, and that's JaeWright. I always have to close my eyes so I can like see it in my head. And you can follow our podcast at Coffee and Chisme Podcast on Instagram, on Facebook. You can find us on really most streaming services. I don't know what, I can't think of any that we're not on, but you can find us on pretty much anything. And yeah, just follow Yes Love OKC as well.
Yeah.
Really quick, Coffee and Chisme has something coming out this week. Can you speak on that really quickly?
Hey, do you want to?
Yeah, so we actually had to take a break from podcasting because of the ice storm that we had here. And I unfortunately didn't have power for a few weeks, and then I didn't get internet back until last week. No, this past week. It just ended yesterday. So, so we are releasing our new episode, and I'm so excited. It was such a good episode to record. Oh, sorry.
It kind of piggybacks on this too, except we talk about how COVID has affected the drag entertainment world and how drag entertainers are surviving in a COVID world.
Yes. Yep. So super exciting stuff.
I'm definitely looking forward to that conversation. And that publishes or posts November 25th. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, cool. I look forward to hearing that. It is a hard time for us performers. We're so used to, the live interactive, I can't come in and sit on your lap and sing Santa Baby and put a Santa hat on you as much as I want to. So just know that we're suffering. We want to be there. So thank you guys so much. If anyone would like to connect with me post this conversation, you can find me everywhere at the same handle, which is at Stephanie Lavos, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of the places. And please continue to stay tuned because we're going to continue to bring you content through Feliz Latinidad. Thank you so much, everybody, for engaging. Thank you to these amazing panelists for sharing your stories and your perspectives, and keep shining bright, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.